frustrated entrepreneur, high-achieving executive, or coach, and have had a hard time finding the work-life balance? Do you find yourself spending more hours at the office than at home to play with your kids? Are you finding that the time that you spend away is making you frustrated, resentful, and that you want to kind of give up? Then now it's time to become the wealth warrior. Come join me in my 5-day challenge where you will learn about the wealth wheel, learn about the different aspects of wealth, and learn how to achieve success in all aspects of your wealth so that way you can live a fruitful, more fulfilling life. Click below for my free 5-day Wealth Warrior Challenge. Click now. Click now.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome. It's your boy Rudy LaRose in the building. Oh man, today is going to be amazing. It is Wealth Week. That's right, we are Wealth Week, baby. And I've got none other than the wealth man himself to have this amazing, incredible conversation today. Welcome, Gustavo Pinero, in the building once again, brother. How you doing?
What's up, man? Always represent, right?
Hey, listen. We represented Bronx all week. Now we represent Florida. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
What's going on?
So I'm
brother?
so excited because we're at the precipice. We're at the starting point. We're at the starting point and getting ready for this week. You know, there's so much excitement, so much energy here. You know, these people don't know what we have in store for them. They don't know.
They're ready. Man, it's good. It's so good to be with you once again, brother. So as we wrap up this preview of this challenge or what it looks like, man, I was reminded of just a situation that not a situation, but rather an event that I have. And it just reminded me in that particular moment that, wow, Rudy, you stopped dreaming, right? You stopped believing that it was possible. You stopped going after goals and dreams and aspiration. You stopped imagining. And I just got emotional at that moment. And it reminds me of what this whole challenge is about, right? It's about being in that space. And so talk to me a little bit about, you know, what that's like for people to be able to dream again, to be able to know that it's possible, Gustavo.
You know, it's crazy. So when we're kids, we used to kind of play in the sandbox. We'll use our creativity. You just got a bunch of crayons. It didn't matter if they were broken, if they were, you know, 3 of the same color. It didn't make a difference. We just played in our creativity, and it didn't matter if we were coloring and we went outside of the lines on the coloring book. As a matter of fact, if we went outside of the lines, it was actually more artistic. But slowly and surely, we start getting confined, and we start kind of painting in the lines, and we forget that we actually need to kind of bust out of that. And, you know, earlier this week, we were talking about like being in that metamorphic stage of the caterpillar going into the cocoon and then coming out as a butterfly. And, you know, sometimes what we forget is that, like, it's just a cocoon. It may seem like an imprisonment. It's just a cocoon, and we could break out of that and play in the sandbox. Imagine the perspective, right? Here's what's amazing, using that as a metaphor, right? The perspective of a caterpillar who's terrestrial, whose only viewpoint of life are maybe a couple of leaves and a couple of branches and maybe able to look basically on the ground. The minute that they metamorphosize and become a butterfly, the sky is the limit. And so when we're talking about dreaming, right, we got to remember that the sky is the limit. There's nothing that's stopping that butterfly from going up or down, left or right, right? And so that doesn't mean that there's not going to be trials and tribulations, right?
Right.
But at the same time, we got to recognize and understand that dreaming is an amazing part of our manifestation, right? So a lot of people don't understand this, is that, like, when we start talking about dreaming and creating, it's if it, you know, the difference between just being a daydreamer, right, or a dreamer, and someone who is actually a goal setter is that the goal setter puts a period at the end of that sentence. They
Right.
put a timeline when to
Right.
achieve that.
That's good.
And so in this 5-day challenge, what we're really looking at and what we're really saying to people is like, okay, let's get back into the sandbox. It's not so heavy and significant. This whole thing about adulting, this whole thing about learning about wealth, we knew about that when we were kids.
Right.
But let's just go back into the sandbox and unlearn some of those things and take the things that we did learn that benefit us and bring that into the sandbox. And let's look at that in the area of, for example, your finances, or in the area of community, or the area of relationships, you know, or the area of your education, spirituality, or even just time, like so you could enjoy the time that you have.
Right.
So when we start looking at all those things, we start to remember, oh, that was what it was like.
Yep.
And I think that when you were talking about that moment that breakthrough happened in your life, you realize, oh, somewhere along the line, either myself or someone else pulled the parking brake on me, and I've been trying to drive down the street with the parking brake.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It's so interesting because it happens very suddenly but it's subtly rather for a lot of people, where maybe we're working a 9 to 5, maybe we got a side hustle, maybe we're an entrepreneur, and we're hitting some numbers, right? We're hitting some numbers here and there, but that breakthrough, that be able to break that barrier, that's what for me this Wealth Week is about. It's about to be able to break that barrier, that threshold, that one little shift that you don't know. True story. The other day I had a conversation with a colleague of mine, and he gave me this one tool that he's using for his business. Do you know, Gustavo, that one little tool that he gave me? I said, you know, maybe I should try that for my business. And I've tried it, and it's catapulted me into another dimension of income, just because of that one little nugget from that one little conversation. And the crazy part is, we didn't even go there to have that kind of conversation. We just happened to be in the conversation. And he said this. I was like, really? He said, yeah, this works very well. I said, well, maybe I should try it for my clients. And so I put a program together. I launched it. I went to all my clients. I said, hey, we definitely need this. This is a great tool. And they're like, let's do it. And boom, wealth coming in right there from that one conversation. And that's what I love about you, Gustavo. We get to be in a room where we're having a conversation about wealth, about these different dynamics. The days that are coming up, right? The 5 days that are coming up. We talked about last week. We went into several of the pillars for that challenge. So day one was relishing relationships, right? Day two, increasing income. Collaborating with community. Day 3, healthy habits. Day 4, and then of course day 5, elevating your education. What's your favorite, if any?
Ooh. Okay, you got me on the spot here. Oh man,
what's your favorite?
I would say some. I think education, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Because education is not just textbook education. There's education of self, learning yourself, becoming a master student of yourself, and taking a spin, a different way of being self-centered, right? Because we use the term of being negative, but being self-centered, meaning the center of you is the center where everything comes out from that point. Right. And so like you take care of self. So education of self, right? Also educating others. I mean, I can't tell you, and you've experienced it, you know, in the backdrop when we have some conversations where when someone, and I'm putting myself in this, the look on someone's face when they get it, like you show them something, and then how their eyes light up and they get it,
Right.
And then you understand like your mission of how you're giving back.
Right.
And it's like, so out of all those, I'm a little bit biased because all of them are my favorites, but I think
Right.
that education for me is the one, because that's why I'm doing this whole thing, right? It's
Right.
like, you elevating your education, because through my trials and tribulations, through me bogging through the mud, through me falling on my face, through me battling cancer and getting back up and getting back up and getting back up, at the end of the day, what I kept thinking was like, how can I educate myself? How can I keep going through this? How can I keep balancing this out? Because knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is power. But then applied knowledge is actually the most powerful. Right? So a lot of people take I'm going to just educate myself, for example. And then it's like, okay, now I'm a walking thesaurus, or I'm a walking encyclopedia. I can answer, it's like Jeopardy. I can answer any question. I'm like, okay, but how much of that can you apply?
Right. Got it.
And so a lot of times when we're talking about transforming and becoming a wealth warrior and having the multi-facets of being the wealth warrior, a lot of times it's like we think we got it because we can regurgitate it. And that's kind of like how some of the systems have been set up, right?
Right.
Because you think about when because if you think about it, like throughout school, we've been taught memorize. There's some practical application, especially if you're getting into the mathematics and the sciences. But memorize, take it, relearn it, and then regurgitate it back to me, right? And that's not to belittle the school system. Let me say that for firstly. But it's like when it's like, well, how can you take that information, apply it, and then when there's variables in your life that are not working, how do you take that knowledge and put it in a practical process in which you can have an answer that was never even there? I just dropped a big nugget that a lot of people may have not listened, but it's like, that I see is one of the biggest things that, in terms of breaking free, of through the barriers that we have, around being a wealth warrior, like, and having it all. Like, it's great. Let's celebrate that win, right? You did say something, you applied something, and that was wealth in the area of income, right? That's great. And then it's like, well, how can I have it all? Right. So then the question starts saying, how can I have not only increased income, but how can I collaborate with my community? Right. How can I have the healthy habits that give me the vitality and the vigor to steamroll through this and not be dragging myself through it like all out of gas, and that I can have the sustainability and the stamina, and healthy habits. I mean, it's some people make a distinction here, but healthy habits also has to do with a healthy spirit. And sometimes we forget about that. And so when we start talking about like all those 5 pillars that we're talking about, and making sure that we don't forget to relish those relationships, because those relationships is what actually gives us. It's like the reason for our existence, almost. As human beings, we need to interact. And here's something that one of the many hats that I wore before I got to this was that there was a point in my time where I was studying the healing arts, and I remember there was a study that they did. I think it was at the University of Miami, where they studied how babies, neonates, when they were first born, if they weren't touched, that some of them would go into a withdrawal, even to the point of almost or actually dying. So we as human beings need those relationships to interact with other human beings. And so like isolation is just kind of like a way of protection. So when we isolate ourselves in whatever area of life, right? Because you don't have to necessarily be a hermit, But at the same time, you may isolate yourself because of many different reasons, because of shame or whatever it may be. And sometimes we go through this isolation, we forget that relishing those relationships is a true sign of wealth,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good. That's really, really good, Gustavo. Here's the big question. While we're, as we navigate through this Wealth Week, as I call it, and talk about wealthonomics and whatnot, and going into this challenge and really allowing people, those who are assigned to you and those you're assigned to them, and being able to really be in tune with you in the VIP aspect of things. Before we talk about that, I want to ask you, a lot of people who are wealthy, right? They go into wealth, they do their thing, they get situated, they get whatever they want in their lives, but they do it where it's for them. They're not necessarily talking to anybody in that sense. They're not doing maybe a Facebook Live. They're not doing video. Like, that's not their thing, right? They're not public. But you built your wealth, and you could technically just be living your dreams and just be out there and doing your thing, be on a yacht all day and whatever, traveling the world, which I know you do. But you decided to say, you know what, let me stop and give back. Let me stop and share this knowledge that I've gotten. Why? Why is this important to you?
It's a great question. So let me start by saying this, is that there was, after the cancer, and I shared my story about, when I went through cancer, there was something that was pulling me. And, you mentioned about assignments, the assignment that people are my assignment. And so I was someone's assignment. And essentially they pulled out of me something that I had inside of me. There was a seed that was planted inside of me, and that seed was to make a difference. And so when it was without purpose, when I was making money without purpose, yes, I was good at it. So right. let's not get it twisted, right? I was good at it, right. But then there was still another aspect of me that wanted more. It didn't necessarily mean I wanted more money, though I thought that that's what it was. Right. Because I chased more money, I got more money, and I still felt empty. And then so when I started seeing that, like, I would, when I would spend time with a stranger, for example, and we would have these dynamic conversations, and I'll see their eyes light up, and it kind of reawaken to a possibility than what we were talking about at the top of the hour, where where they would see something and they started to dream again. I was like, aha, there's something there that's not only for them, but also for me. Because a lot of those conversations that we were having, it wasn't me like at the pulpit preaching to them. A lot of times I had enough sense that my ears were perked up, because I believe that, Holy Spirit speaks through me. Right. And so there's points where the things that would come out of my mouth, I was like, did I just say that? Was that me? Where did that come from? And there was a point where I clearly started to see that it wasn't me in the sense of like, oh, ego, me. It was, I was humble enough to say, the divine is using me as a vessel, as a vehicle, not only to make a difference in their life, but also mine. So then when I started to say, okay, I'm going to answer this calling, I'm trusting. I'm going to answer this calling. So that's why that I started doing this, because it's part of my purpose. And like when we were talking about it's part of my purpose. It's what gives me life. And so when there's a lot of trials and tribulations to get to this point. And so I don't want to say that, hey, if you're not my assignment, you're not going to get anything out of this Wealth Week, right? You can truly still be a wealth warrior. You're going to get some nuggets. You're going to take those nuggets home and take them. Please, I'm giving them out. Please take them. But there's going to be a select few and they
What's the
know who
meal?
they are.
They want the meal. They're not just the nuggets.
They know who they are, and
Right.
those select few gonna know that they're my assignment, and I'm
Right.
their assignment.
Right.
And so I want to acknowledge the people that are choosing not to join VIP. It's totally okay. Take what's there to be given. But also now I want to just really have a conversation around those that are my assignment, those that want more. So for the VIP, we have a whole list of things that we're going to do. You're going to have access to the replays. We're going to have like hot seats, questions and answers. You know, there you go, Rudy, setting it up for me. And we're going to talk about the Wealth Warrior Roadmap, a 9-step system to show you what it is that is like that when you're trying to attain wealth. These things are the things that have been escaping us.
Right.
You're gonna have. We were talking about the video replay, and just scroll it up for a second for me. And then we're gonna also talk into. I have a book, and so I'm so excited because we're gonna get a free chapter of my book on how to obtain financial and spiritual wealth. And obviously, you're gonna get this cool little virtual background that I have, you know. And so these are for the people that are my assignment. You're getting this plus much, much, much more. You're gonna really get to like break down the lessons. And so obviously, I would love everybody to be in VIP.
Right.
And I want you guys to listen to it in the space of like pouring into you. I want everybody to be in VIP because I want you guys to get the most out of it. And for some of you that say, yes, let's do it. Let's go forward. There's the URL. Can you put the little banner there so they can see the website of where to go to? We did a quick little tiny URL, and Rudy's gonna have it come up in a second. And there you go, tinyurl.com VIP Wealth Now. So you look when you put all this value together, it's almost $2,000 worth of value that I'm giving you only $97. You can't even take your girl out to a movie. It's only $97, almost 95% off. You know, so just upgrade yourself to the VIP. You're not gonna want to like miss this. You're gonna have the hot seats. You're gonna hear me talking throughout the week about VIP. You're gonna hear from people that are in VIP, like what they're getting, and then you could choose if I'm your assignment or not. So that's kind of like my thing about like what we're doing this week. I'm so excited to see you and join us for the Wealth Week Challenge. And just, I don't know if there's anything else, but we could just take us out from here.
Man. Come have a good time, man. Come learn, come grow, come expand yourself. You know what I learned about a lot of people who are millionaires is that they're in a constant pursuit of growth. Let me say that again. They are in a constant pursuit of growth. It's never enough that I did, 6 figures last week, or if I broke this sale. It's never enough that I did this yesterday. It's constant growth and it's constant expansion and putting themselves in the environment where it nurtures you and it challenges you to grow. And that's what this for me, that's what this challenge is all about. Life is all about challenges, right? Which one are you going to decide to take? Which one are you going to decide to give yourself enough oomph to say, you know what, I'm going for it, and I'm going for mine, and I'm going for my dreams and aspirations. So be sure to come check us out.
One other thing, tonight.
Yes.
We have the meet and greet.
Wait, there's more.
Meet and greet tonight. And there's more. Oh, by the way, speaking about there's more, and I know that I think Rudy, we can do this, right? I know we were talking about this, kind of hashing it out, and you probably, my team back there is going to kill us. But if you join VIP, I got something special for you that we'll announce on the last day. But stay tuned. But I got a special bonus that we're going to set up. I know we've been tossing around an idea about what we're going to do on it, and I'm just going to go forward with it. So I got a special bonus for you and we're going to announce it on the 5th day of the challenge for those that are on the VIP. VIP only will get this special bonus. So,
Look at that.
so
Already
and then
excited.
tonight
Look at that.
we have our meet and greet at 5 p.m. You can join the Facebook group, and you'll see us on Facebook, and we'll have a meet and greet there.
Yep, I'm excited about the meet and greet tonight, and I think that it's going to be time, man, to elevate and expand.
Yep.
And
so if you haven't joined the Facebook group, it's Wealthonomics Society. At Facebook, it's Wealthonomics Society.
Wealthonomics Society. You guys see the logo there, so you know exactly how it's spelled. Listen, we're going to be live tonight at 5. Make sure you join us on the Facebook group, all over the place. Wealthonomics on Instagram, on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, MySpace. Yes. You know, the whole nine.
We're representing. We're representing for the OGs.
We're representing, man. So be sure you guys check us out. We look forward to seeing you guys soon. Wealth Week, we're out.
All right.